of PEL Week 2. It's been a good run so far. It's starting to shape into what I thought things would have been like coming into Week 2. Week 1 was, I guess you can say, terrorized by crazy planes and crazy circles, which got us into Week 2 kind of with the same feeling we had in Week 1, where teams don't really know what's going on. We have some new teams in there, and teams that we like to say are consistent maybe didn't play that consistently. So I feel like in the end, on Sunday, we reached the day where everyone was kind of settled in their loot spots, and rotations were starting to make more sense. We didn't see, I mean, other than, okay, so PEL, I always thought it was NPL, but apparently the Europeans suck at driving. I think we've had at least 2 vehicle, other than on Sanhok, we've had people run each over at least twice every single game, which is honestly quite embarrassing. But of course, there can be a billion different reasons to it. But nonetheless, rotations are starting to make sense, and a bit of a groove is getting going. People have kind of found out how the league is going to go. So let's see here. First game of the day. We got N47. They jumped out early. No reason for them not to be where they are. Porto is going to be open, obviously. Oh, I remember this one. That was funny. And yeah, that's not really any big changes. As we had the Erangel plane yesterday that went from George down over south of Lipovka, and we said, I think this is probably the plane that would allow for everyone to go where they would want to go, and this is pretty much the same. I mean, Navi, they could stick in and go to La Copraria, but they've been down here a lot of times too. 7, they do their, we can zoom in and see it, they do their west side, just like warehouse split on the west side of Las Leones. And then Mikas is still flying down towards where he wants to get his vehicle. DA will get their spot. Desperados, I think that's the only exception. I think they even could have gone, okay, that's a stretch with Ents as well. So they go to contest Chuma instead of going Impala. Well, that's really the only that's really the only difference that we see in the beginning. We do see this circle though, and I know that a lot of people value that we do these drawings on the circles, so we'll do them as well, but we don't need to do them as specifically because, I mean, we have the water. That's gonna be a yikes. We could see, for those of you guys who didn't get to watch the games, I won't spoil anything, but we could see a team like N47 decide to push down over the Los Hijos or Prison Island. That could be a thing. If not, then we've seen them play the southern area down here many times before, but as you can see when they jump out, Navi jumps out pretty much at the same time, and I think N47 at this point are aware that it's Navi and not 7, because 7 would have continued up here, but Navi like to take the area down here. I think that it has happened enough times that that they would be aware that Navi goes down here. So it's not just gonna be a safe youpie-doo, let's go over here. They will be aware, okay guys, there might actually be there might actually be a team over here, so we can just send it like we could had there been nobody. So circle pops, boink, and obviously loss itself is going to be a bit of a struggle for teams to go through. Other than that though, it's pretty much open. The only issue is, and that's not really circle dependent, the only issue is that you have so many terrain, what do you call them? Like there's so many areas of the map that are really, really hard to get to early on unless you just send it straight uphill with the vehicle. But there could be a guy camping here and you're pretty much gonna go down no matter what. He knows too much. Oh no, we have 2 guys from N47 in the chat. If I say anything wrong, they're gonna, I don't know, be upset. But in all honesty, guys, now that we do have players that are actually in this game in the chat, if you do have any comments on either something I say that you don't agree with, or just anything, it's always great to have, because I can talk as much as I want to, but if I say something that is stupid, then please do correct me. So they do decide to cross over. It makes sense. Again, they know that Navi is here. There's no reason to go contest. And also we have seen, I mean, N47, for those of you guys who don't remember, N47 had a game when they were Sok Vietnam in contenders. They had a game that actually ended down on the island here, where I think it was a 4v1, and Maxisol from Erangel just wanted to have a pan fight, but they didn't want to, so they shot him. BM. It's like back in the Counter-Strike days, you know, when you were trying to like slice the wall, ching, 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 to say, can we please just knife? And then they shot him. That was a little sad. Game of Legion, I like this push from them actually, because again, we've seen a lot of that's not true. We've seen circles go not necessarily onto the other island, but stay by the water for a while. And Game of Legion, they don't want to play the back foot on it. They know that they're a team. I mean, they loot up. They even have Church and this guaranteed. They've kind of struggled with Desperado as to who would get this area and the Church, but they've claimed this entire area here. And that gives them a gateway down south. But they know we have to rotate before Desperados do. Allows for them to full speed forward. All the way down, they get the compound. N47 sees this. Page goes back. He goes back. Probably calls, oh, that compound's taken. We can't go over now, so they'll just sit tight and wait for the next circle. In the meantime, everyone else starts making their rotations down. Crowd and G2 driving side by side, and everyone's trying to take, well, whatever is available. There isn't a whole lot compound-wise down here, but you have a lot of high ground spots that you can get some decent vision from. Reciprocity, rotate down the shoreline. Crowd will do the same. And G2 will come in right as the circle pops. So now we have everyone in, except for Ratio Edge. They were forced to rotate. Look at this rotation from Ratio Edge, by the way. They loot their spot all the way around Monte. They come in late, and now the circle goes back up. So obviously, N47, they know they need to cross back somehow. What do? Do you go back this way, or do you just cross here? We'll wait and see. In the meantime, Los Leones, still quite a big chunk of the circle, to be honest. It's not exactly the... I mean, considering how many awful areas there are to play, we have the whole... We can actually draw them up real quick. And then we'll leave them there. We have this whole area. Other than one little dip here, there's practically nothing you can play in all of this. There's a little dip there that you can play. Other than that, there's nothing. This whole dip, it's just a big yikes. Same thing going on up here. And as long as this hill is in play, you cannot play any of the stuff over here. Yes, I mean, when I say you cannot play, it doesn't mean that it cannot be a solo that's hiding behind a wall. That is, of course, always possible pretty much everywhere. But when I say 4 men alive trying to actually play from that position, that's not going to be possible from anything of what I just drew up. This over here as well, from all the way down to where Ends are sitting to up to G2, this is one big downhill push pretty much. There is a little change of scenery on the left side, but this is also practically impossible to play as long as Ends have this position that they do. So you can already now start to see how much of this circle with Los Leones, with Los Leones drawn up as well, even though we can look at the circle and say, oh, but there's plenty of room. All these people are coming from south around here and up to, like, they're all going in this direction, right? Kind of. I mean, just the flow of the circle is going to go up towards the middle from where all these people were before. And look at how many open areas that you cannot really stop in, that you have to go through, alongside how many spots are already taken. There's really not a whole lot to take for all these teams that are trying to make a play, or trying to find anywhere to go. You can see how many teams are still down here. So Game of Legion leave, and I think this baits... I'm not sure, maybe you guys can tell me, because I called that on stream as well, but I'm not sure if that's actually the case. So watch this. Game of Legion leave the building. And I'm not sure if Vasco or Page, if that's what they see, but this calls, like, the fact that they leave means that N47 start driving over the bridge. But they don't see, because they're all in their vehicles now, they don't see Desperados pull up on the compound instead. So they actually almost... They're shot. They all survive, but that could have been a pretty scary move. But I'm not sure if they actually knew that they were there and just kind of called it anyway, or if it was one of those scary moments that that could have cost them. Base as well, circle pups. They realize, as I said, there's nothing to go for here. Might as well wrap around, go up through Chuma, and get in. No time to set up. Yeah, exactly. So it would have been, had they got kills on it, would just have been one of those. You know what? he got lucky. We didn't. Base, they'll wrap around, go through Chuma. We'll remove these again. I think you guys can kind of remember where they were anyway. Timmy and Tixu, they're gonna rotate alongside them. Drayden gets scared off by 8C and Fuss. New circle pups, and again, quite a big chunk of Los Leones in, even more so now than before, because now we're still including, I mean, the fact that Rustenmar and Ence's compound is still in means that, as I drew up before, this area is no-go. This is crap. This is crap. I'm not even going to count anything north of this road, because nobody would want to go there. But you can see if everything that we've drawn up now is, it's, again, you can go there, but odds are you won't get out of there alive. That is quite a bit of this circle. It's probably, if you put these 4 pieces together, it's probably around half the circle. Of course, you can go to Los Leones, but it's, I mean, in most situations, only one team will actually get out of Los Leones alive. So we have a bit of a two-way split with Desperado and then 47 on the south. They're split 2-2. And then we have 8C and FaZe, Knights, and the 2 remaining Crowd players on the north. TSM is two-way split. G2 was two-way split, but realized, you know what, this is going to get contested. Might as well back off, and smartly so. Reciprocity come driving up towards them. N47 do a white-blue rotation. Again, it's limited what you can really do. Compounds could be taken, and there'd be nothing for you to take. So they go into Los. Desperado wrap around the other way. So they were both on the southern side, but they decided to kind of go each their way on that. And then you see the new circle pop, and this is, well, I mean, fortunately, it goes out of the city, so that's not to be accountable any longer. But we still have this, and this only takes up more and more space of the circle. We still have this whole area, and this, for those of you guys who don't know, this whole area, this whole thing that I just drew up is one big downhill push towards this compound. And as long as they're all 4 alive, they can just sit, quang, 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 and shoot up at everything moving up around here. You do have a little bit of cover here and there, but for the most part, with these 2 compounds combined, it's very limited where you can play in this circle and actually do something if they're both occupied. Same thing going on over here. Exactly the same thing as before. So NIP, they've been sitting up here for a while. I mean, where do you go if you're here? A, they have people coming from behind. They need to deal with them first. Then the blue, they know they've tanked blue for a little while. So they say, good, we have a chance to get some good kills in here. Crowd come crashing up. Hello, how are you doing? This becomes chaotic. FaZe on the other side of the road. They haven't really been fighting each other too much. But FaZe from down here makes the push on up. Because they realize if we're going to make a push in, no matter which direction to the circle we go, we cannot run in, get shot at by these guys, and at the same time have a fight with the team that is running next to us. So we need to deal with everything that is up here before we can make the push into the circle. So they go up to third party, fight escalates, they go up the hilltop, they want to see if they can get a piece of the pie. It stalls for a while, everything goes wrong, NBS becomes a solo, Ultra, solo as well. FaZe, they just have to, play around what they have available. On the other side of the circle, G2 and N47 forced into a fight. Knights and Ratio Edge. And this is just the container warehouse areas where it's all crap. It's like a mini game within the game of deathmatch. This area that we drew before. Still a thing, by the way. You can see what I mean now, right? I mean, this stays in and both the compounds stay in. It just becomes really, really, really difficult to do anything in this circle. All you can do, as much as TSM could want to push in towards the circle, there's not really anything to push. You need to deal with the people on your side of the circle first. So it just becomes one big edge camp fiesta. Seven, they're only 2 alive, so they're not going to go too aggressive. Ents probably could have gone more aggressive, but they decide to stay, knowing that nobody from here... they have perfect vision on the other side. Nobody's going to push down towards them. Now the circle pushes, and this is a smart thing, because 7 has barely even been shooting during the time they've sat there. And I think Ents realized this, so they just hard commit. Like, they just sent it full speed forward. All the vehicles up to the concretes, boom, get in there, 4 guys live. Smart play from Ents. Really, really smart play from Ents. Great understanding of the situation, and great prep or knowledge in knowing where they're sitting and what they've been doing. Circle now shifts to yikes for everyone, and this is, again, it's just a really, really, really tough circle to play around for everyone. You're going to be exposed pretty much no matter how you play this one. There is a shack up here that you can play, and I was actually expecting ends to already now push up, but they would kind of have been exposed to 7 had they decided to do so, and they didn't know about Ratio Edge's position before they crossed over. Yeah, exactly. They have the dip up there. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you can see how much control they have. Once they leave and they get the dip, they can contain you, meaning that you guys can't cross over this way. We can just draw a line. They can pretty much make sure and that nobody can push down here because it's open. And they can help hold over here. I mean, the only area of the map they don't have too much control of is what's going on in the compound, really. Everything else they have eyes on. So it becomes a very, very tricky situation. I mean, either you crash into TSM, which you're most likely going to lose that fight, or you just say, you know what, they can see this much, we just have to go to what they can't see. Pretty tricky situation. Ratio Edge, they try to hold off, and again, I was still waiting for ends to make the push up the hill, and obviously now they have to make the push up the hill, because if you run into the open field, knowing that you have a team next to you, and you have the 2 solos on the backside, you're just gonna die. I was anticipating this push much earlier, especially now that they start shooting, but they stick around in the compound for longer. Mikas goes up to get info, Rustenmark comes to help him, Squeaky gets knocked, that's an unfortunate knock, because it would have been a 4v3, and then the fight happens on the edge. This was a pretty interesting fight too, the way that it went down, but again, I want to show more videos from in-game, but I'm still waiting for permission to use actual clips from PEL in the analysis, so I'm not gonna do that until we know if we can or not. But that was game number 1. Interesting one at that as well. Very interesting one. We'll head on over to game number 2. We'll just change this so we don't confuse anyone. And again, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, please do let me know. Plane, very northern, keep in mind. N47 down here, DA down here, Gamer Legion, Desperados, or Desperados could be the same thing. And of course, Navi and 7, they can just go take the northern spots. But a lot of teams that are not relying on south, but kind of, will now have to change their plans. So we have N47 splitting west. Desperados, they're jumping for vehicles to go down to Impala. Gamer Legion will be able to go down. Not the biggest of consequences, but the circle is opposite of the plane. And what I mean by that is the fact that northern plane, southern circle. Right now, everybody knows that anything south of this line is going to be 100% guaranteedly open and available. For now, that is. Interested, this is where I think I know teams, they like to go to their loot spots, obviously, because well, you loot a place and you like to go there. But having flown out of the parachutes here, Gamer Legion is still flying. Seeing this circle pop, this is where I would assume, at least, you just take a car and just send it up to Chumacera and loot there instead. There's no reason, if you're intending, like, if you want to go here in this circle anyway, wherever it may be, and you know for a fact that there's no one there, why go over here to loot if you can just drive down here? You know there's going to be no one there. That's just one of those things for me. You can see Phase do it immediately. Send one further down. They've barely looted anything, and they're already trying to take center. And now Gamer Legion come down as well. So I would just have thought they would have gone there immediately. But they do end up getting the center somewhat early on. N47 come down as well, play their hillside. And we can throw the draw up with the next circle pop, because that's where things do get kind of interesting. We also have a chance. I mean, teams could technically push on over this way. It's not really the optimal thing to do. G2 and Ends, they fight on the edge. That's going to slow them down a little bit. But they do manage to make their way into the circle. Mikas is very, very late to the circle. And now the circle goes over here. Watch this. Let's just... how is that I do this? Can I even do this anymore? Maybe I can't. No, I can't do that. In any case, this circle, you have a big mountain here. I guess it's actually more just like this. This is a big mountain where N47 is sitting. This over here is a really tall mountain ridge as well. You have the water on the south. You have Val del Mar, the city. And you have a huge mountain over here as well. Which means if you're trying to rotate in, I mean, everything that includes a mountain means most likely you driving quite a bit slower than you would had it been on flat ground. And also bigger chance of you to flip your vehicle, all these things. And if you're driving 30 kilometers an hour uphill, you're just asking to be killed. You're just asking to be shot at. So teams have to dip their vehicles quite a bit earlier than they probably would. You can see, I mean, once they get down and get up the other hill, you're not banking on vehicles anymore. I mean, once you get in and you're comfortable with where you are, you just pray to the pray to the PUBG gods that that a few more circles will go towards your designated mountain, because everything that is with the big roads, like all these roads, I'll draw them up in a different color. These roads that we see here, they're the valleys. They're the low points of the terrain that we're in. Everything else, with the exception of a few fields here and there, that's uphill. Everything that is not road at this point is pretty steeply uphill. Ends come in south, they get the circle, not complaining about that. And again, we have a situation where you got your roads. But which mountain do you commit to? Because if you want to go from here over to here, either you go all the way underneath, which everyone else is doing, or you go over the top. But how do you know that there's not someone sitting up here once you start driving up? You can't scout it from down here. So you need to scout from here, over here, and then hope and pray that by the time you go down and try to go up on the other side, a team hasn't pulled up on that. It's pretty much no matter what, you're going to be rotating blind. Unless if you rotate on foot, which is going to take you a hell of a lot of time, and you're going to be out in the open for quite a long time as well. Fortunately for, I guess you can say, the most part, Val del Mar is in, so a lot of teams, they can crash into that. I think 3 or 4 teams go through that at some point. Crow Crowd find the quiet side of the circle, as always. They do not want to fight anyone. Face and Knights end up squaring off against one another. And you can see now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. 7 even with G2. How in the universe do you get over here? Like seriously, how the beep downhill, flat, uphill? It's practically impossible for a team that is now sitting anywhere up here. Either you crash a compound, or you can't rotate south around, because that's where Val del Mar is, and you know there's been fights going on down there. You can't go north around into blue. It's going to take you too much time. The only thing you can do is fight on the edge and say, we'll just see how many points we can get off of this one, because we're not really going to be able to do anything else. So Knights stick around to fight. TSM try to leave. Reciprocity get themselves a knock and a kill on towards Iro. TSM, they crash into Liquid. They die immediately, as expected. Reciprocity try to crash the other side. They all get taken down, I believe, pretty much immediately. Yep, they all go down. Oh no, Monkey actually survives. Monkey as a solo player survives it all. But once again, now they have to go over this. This is not as tall as the other one was, but you still have to get around this mountainside somehow, or play it on the back side of it. That's what we see Rahishurich do. 7, they'll be sitting on the top. Reciprocity have 2 alive on the south side. Game of Legion, 3 guys in 1 vehicle, get immediately blown up. N47, I like this play from T-Bone. You know that if you just commit all your 4 players into the same one compound and it then shifts away, there's a pretty big chance that a team will say, you know what, we will not commit to, like, let's say the next circle goes up here, right? A team will be sitting up here and say, we are not going to commit to this circle before we've dealt with the guys down here. So T-Bone being up here can kind of make their, I guess you can say, buffer zone, or move their fence line a little further up, so that gives them some more room to work around, or move around at least. Now the new circle pups, they're all starting to move uphill, and again, had it been a case where the circle goes back to them, they could just go back. It's like with vehicles, you pretty much start driving before the circle pups, just in case you have to go, because if it doesn't, you just do a 180 and go back to the compound again. But now it does shift. And with this terrain, I mean, this is the high point, right? You have a little bit of a flat area, and then you have the lower hill and the top hill up here. You cannot really run on this side knowing that that the N47 is over there. So either if you're G2, you go down this side, go down on this side, or force a fight through the middle. Not really any other options. And this compound is even outside anyway. So 7 being 3 guys alive, they give up this compound. They know whoever is coming towards us will have to fight close quarters anyway. Now they do come in towards them. And I believe that 7, they actually take them down without losing a single player. In the meantime, in 47, they can go around the side. Try and see if they can get to third party, but no need because Lynx is up on the top. And NIP get themselves a little circle gift. In all fairness, they have been very, very unlucky with circles so far in phase 3. So, but then again, I mean, everyone gets one of those games, right? So they get the circle. N47 now realize, good, we have 2 options here. Either we crash or crash. We pull uphill and try to take the fight to Ratio Edge. But there's a good chance they'll catch us rotating and then we'll be stuck in the open. Or we can take our vehicles around and play there's like a, what do you call it? A ridge line down to the road where you're within nade distance. Like they can throw nades down there. But if you spread out enough, there's a pretty good chance you can stay alive. Those are the 2 plays they have. You cannot crash the compound. That's going to mean third party and you will die. So they go down underneath. Makes perfect sense. And this is a very steep, like for those of you guys who don't know, this is a very, very, very steep hill down this way. Very steep ridge line. So right now, N47 is, NIP I mean, sorry, is caught in the middle. And all everyone is doing right now is wait. No matter what, I mean, there's no way Ratio Edge is going to be able to stay on the hill because the final circle is going to be bang center, right? So no matter where you put that final circle, it's going to be somewhere with like somewhere around here. The center could never be up here, for example. So Ratio Edge, they know they have to push down. N47, all they have to do technically, I mean, I like that. I mean, obviously NIP right now is focused on dealing with Ratio Edge, but they also know that with 3 teams alive, 1 team pushing down, there's no way in hell that the guys on the bottom are not going to use that to push up. So they push up. I think, and this is just personal opinion, I think N47 should have been more like playing more of a contain position, because as far as I remember, the circle pretty much went all the way out here. So they could just have played contain rather than aggressed. Like you go up to, you take as much room as you can, but you don't necessarily peek your opponent. You wait for them to come to peek you. Because let's say Vasco holds this angle, Page holds this angle, and T-Bone could then either try and focus on what's going on above, or you could try and push around and try and help. They will have to leave eventually. Like this building will have to be cleared with the circle going over here. So if it just plays contain rather than aggress, I think that could have made things easier. Because now, both of them down, either you push or you fall back. And again, this is completely just personal thought. I would love to hear N47's thought on what happened here. Because they're in a 4v, they're down, they're outnumbered. Ivel went down earlier. But Vasco goes down here, and there's no way. It's like when we talked about yesterday with Desperados, right? There's no way Vasco can get any help. It's a close angle. It's just one window, I believe, that he can be seen from, and there's no way anyone is going to be able to rest. And because they now get the knock on towards him, they go, well, this is a 4v2. Should be doable. Push down. Boom, boom, immediately down. Had N47, and I don't know the exact terrain to what is available on this side, but had they played it more, I don't know. I don't know, actually. I don't know. It's a tricky situation. And it's very nitpicky because they do get top 2 with a lot of kills. So it's not exactly because it's a bad game. It's just one of those, how can you close out games? I think had Vasco been on the other side, maybe backing up with Page rather than play the left side, that would be good. But at the same time, you want to have a contain so they can't go out this way and run underneath and fight. I don't know. It's a tricky situation, but nonetheless, that was game 2. Now we go over to Sanhok. Yeah, that too. I mean, it's all. I think it's all about waiting for that perfect timing to make the push downhill. But they probably realized very quickly that everyone was looking towards them. I mean, there was no one not looking towards that team, and that just made it hard for them, I think. Circle is it's going to pop. Desperados, they have now figured that they want to go towards the Camp Bravo rather than playing the southern island. And the game that they decide to do that, we get this circle. Desperado has been in every single Sanhok match. Desperados have been on this island. This time around, when they're not, the circle hard commits to that island very, very early on. And that, of course, makes things interesting in two ways. A, is anyone going to camp? We'll draw it up in a different color. Is anyone going to camp our river? They were committed to play spoiler. Couldn't really call them back. Yeah, exactly. It's all about the timing. Exactly. I'm glad that you wanted to share that with us, Ivo. They wanted to have the off ankle when they were going to flush or something, but he got caught. Feels bad, but happens. Good game nonetheless, though. Good game nonetheless. In any case, River. FaZe, do they want to stick around or do they want to go for position instead? Navi, do they want to stick around? Do they want to go position instead? Many things you can do. Reciprocity, play the southern side. They can stick around the river. You see Monkey's already there. Shiv is there. And we know DA, of course, they just want to go center. So they're probably just going to send it. That's normally how it goes, at least. TSM, they want to go center as well. There's so much value in going center. And this is actually kind of interesting because look at this. NIP, you would argue. This is when the circle pops. Which teams would you say have the best chance to get a center position in this circle? Knights. NIP. FaZe to a certain extent. And Reciprocity, right? In 47, yeah. Where were you again? Yeah, I don't think this is exactly the position you get the best center spot from early on. But look at what happens. TSM, they commit to rotating in much earlier. I don't know if it's because NIP didn't get the loot they wanted. But from a circle like this, NIP gets this position. And I know that TSM kind of beat them to it as they were rotating. You can see they maybe wanted to go further, but Miracle turns around. I just don't see how this could happen. How they cannot get something more center than this. Maybe they just didn't want it. I don't know. And yes, I know. Oh, look, Mom, a bridge. There's no one there. Let's take a center position. I mean, the guys that I think FaZe, they stuck around because they wanted to contain the edge. Reciprocity, they're dealing with ends. They've been fighting the previous game there too. Desperados, they're going to come down. They're going to do pretty much the exact same plays on scooters as N47 did, just not go as far. And I'm looking to understand the way that we're splitting now. So there's no one in here. Nobody is splitting. Split is scary. Split is no. Whoops. This is not really a split. It's kind of the same compound. The only team that is somewhat split is NIP. New circle pops. We all know where the next one is going to go because of the water and everything. And yes, we do go through these Sanhok games a little faster. I'm still trying, like whenever I watch a Sanhok game, whether it being one region or another, still trying to make sense of everything that we see. Squeaky comes up there. It's just compound fights. I like this play from Liquid. Look at this. I don't know if this is a read or just a gut feeling call. How can you use such swear words? This push from NIP is extremely smart. First of all, they get to cross the road. Roads are pretty much death beds in PUBG, especially on Sanhok. They get to cross and they go center. I don't know if it's because they can scout it from where they were, But it's a really, really good read to go for the center, because look at how much control they can potentially have now, depending on how much other people come up. Gemty gets found, EB gets found as well, of course not the way they wanted to have that happen, and Knights now have to commit to the fight. James disengages, and Samty is left behind, and they get the rest back up to EB. I think at this point, Knights, they value their compound. Like, they run up, they find EB, they can't find the flush, and there's just, at this point, and that's another thing that lives in the back of your head when you're playing Sanhok. And I say this as a player, but I'm obviously not. But if you're, I think every in-game leader when you play Sanhok has like a timer that goes, okay, let's fire our first bullet in a fight, go! And then he starts the timer. And then it goes, good, guys, this fight have now been lasting 13 seconds. There is supposed to be 3 other teams shooting at us now. If there's not, then I will give them about 3 seconds until they start shooting at us. So I think that's the read Knights do. They come up, they get the 2 knocks, but so much fire, like so many bullets have been fired that they just go, you know what, no. We've spent too much time trying to find the last guys. Real stays behind to make sure no one's there, and they just disengage. They don't want to get third-partied. So get back to that compound, play it smart. They have a hard cover position in an area where there isn't really that much else. So they decide to run back. For good reason, because they get themselves the circle. Now we have N47 on the eastern side. Like compound, big compound down south. And you have compound on the west as well, and in the center. A lot of compounds available, and an uphill push towards the teams up above. Desperados sit on the edge. They're pretty much getting fought by 2 different teams at the same time from a covered position. That's not going to happen. Base try to push in. They can try and push through DA. They're already vulnerable. N47 comes up to engage. Ends up taking casualties on both sides. It became more of a cluster than they wanted it to be. And this, I mean, okay, we'll take it when we get to it. N47 push in with vehicles. They get hurt, obviously, so they're gonna be spotted. Knights sit dead center. And what we see here, I mean, okay, Reciprocity don't know that Mikas is in this compound. He's been there for a long time. But the way they split out now, I think, is really, really smart. They send Shiv over. First, Udyr is staying back to make sure no one's coming through the compound. He runs up as well. And now once they're up here, they decide, you know what, let's 2-2 this one. So they commit 2 guys to holding this side, 2 guys to holding this side. Because this right here in the middle, this in the middle, whoops, is the, what do you call it, the highest point now in the map. So Reciprocity, if they know that there's no one up here, okay, we could go take it. What are the pros? What are the cons? Pros, we'll get to go center. Cons, if we start fighting a team this way, odds are that these guys will come over and shoot us and we'll be dead. So we don't do that. What we do instead is that if we know this area is open, we send 2 guys out here. We'll just change the color. We'll set 2 guys out here, 2 guys out here. These guys will hold there. These guys will hold there, so that nobody can swarm us. Because as long as we can play with a buffer zone like this. Of course, again, Mikas is a solo player. They don't know that he's there, and it's actually pretty fortunate because he dies to blue. If we can keep this buffer zone and know that no one can come around, now that we're late in the game, we can start vacuuming. Same thing that we've seen N47 do a couple of times. As long as you have a certain buffer and knowing that there's no one right behind you, then you can start wrapping around, because obviously you're not going to be sprinting the whole way around. So if you're walking, shooting, stopping, walking, shooting, stopping, if these guys are just going full YOLO forward, obviously they're going to catch up to you. But because they've now made so much of a buffer zone that they know that there's no one in here, they can do this for a while, I guess you can say. So they start wrapping around. They know the compound is getting excluded, and they can look at this. Had they not had the buffer zone, because obviously Knights are going to push out of the compound when this fight happens, but because they have made that zone, like the spread between them, they can finish the fight, Scoom can turn around, and they can focus towards what's coming towards them. Had they not had Scoom and Udyr hold this angle to begin with, then Knights could have, like, once they start shooting, Knights could have already been here. And that would have been, most likely at least, the death of Reciprocity. But that doesn't happen. Scoom gets to turn around. They now disengage over on the other side. Again, this is the hilltop, so they're sitting on each, like the line goes here, right? Downhill on that side, downhill on that side. As far as I remember. 4v3. Fight uphill towards the compound. Is it like wonky? It's wonky territory, and then I believe Scum gets himself a triple actually in the end, but it's just like slow in the smokes and whatnot. But it's a good, I mean, it's a good fight. Good use of smokes, both his smokes and his opponent's smokes. But just the way that they do their 2-2 split to begin with, and securing room. Again, they're very lucky that Mikas goes down. But the way that they make this split, you can see how they're holding. Two guys. That is pretty much what sets them up to win the game in the end. So great game from Reciprocity. A lot of, I think we had quite a few teams in that game with a lot of kills. Let's see. The Reciprocity had 11. TSM had 9 from their position. Knights, they got 7 primarily from the compound and in the late game. N47, they were holding the edge for a while. They get 5. Okay, so not as many kills. I thought there was actually more than one team with double digit in kills. DA got 4 kills without knocking anyone. Is that then because they stole kills, or is that then because they were killing people instantly? Who knows? But in any case, that was game number 3, I think. Yeah, 3. And now we'll go over to Erangel for game number 4. And again, please, guys, if you have questions, if you have comments, that is why we're doing this, so we can learn more about what's going on. This plane is an esports plane. I call these planes esports planes, because they're amazing. Watch this. It's a plane that goes from here to here. That is actually a pretty straight line. Not gonna lie. You gotta give credit where credit is due. I don't think I've ever drawn that straight a line before. It's not completely straight. You know what? You know what I mean anyway. This is the plane path, right? We have Desperados. We have Ents. We have, I guess we can do like this. So it's like raise your edge and N47. They can go, so that doesn't matter. DA, we'll draw it up in the right color. Reciprocity. Knights can go north. So we have potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that have to go elsewhere than where they normally would. Outside of their preferred drop location. We know that there are teams that, like N47, they've gone prim when they haven't been able to find anything else, and there are teams in the military as well. But let's look at this. See how many things change up. Ends they're immediately out. Desperados go to contest here. Raise your edge, take west. So we already have 3 teams on Millie Island. That is not very often you see that. N47 are going to play from prim. And other than that, for the most part at least, teams are kinda going where they normally would, except DA, who are now looting West Coast as well. And guess what? It's a military game. I don't know how this works, but this is insane. Normally you'd get like those crazy northern circles with those planes, but it's a melee game. And if you're smart and you're sitting on the west side right now, you will know for a fact we will not be the first ones on Miller Island, because there's no designated military looting team in this lobby. In week 1, 6 different teams landed on Millie Island at different times. This time around, 3 teams do. Now, N47, smart move by them. They secure a boat, sail it down here so that they can, so they won't get contested for boat spawns. Remember as well, there are only boats in the designated boat spawns. They are not, you know, like how in esports mode you have your esports cars with the flames on the side, and you have your random vehicle spawns. Here, you only have the esports boat spawns. They look the same, but there's no, oh, there could be a boat there. Nope. All the boats on the esports mode are like, they're there or they're not there. You will know where all the boats are. In any case, one of the things I always look at when I look at PEL, especially this phase, is when does Liquid leave? And it's not because I have some weird obsession with Liquid, but they're just smart in having, they've timed it. And I couldn't get them to say to me that they had, but I looked at Ibiza's face when I asked them, and it seemed like he was agreeing with me, even though he didn't say that they were, but I think it was correct. They have studied, like when in phase 2, for example, their only threat here was Navi. Now Gamer Legion are here as well, but they're still kind of their only threat is Navi, and the only real threat is Senya. He is sitting here. He loots these two. It's not always the same. Like for the most part, he goes like this, and then he goes like this. But he loots these two buildings, or he can go like this and then like this, right? And then he goes up here. And I think, honestly, I think that Liquid has studied this one player enough so that they always know when he does this and when he does this, how long time it takes. So they will know for a fact once he passes this marker and is on his way up to this compound in that direction. Because once he's gone, there's no one there. And that's their, I mean, they need to then get down there. Like they need to get here before Gamer Legion get over there. Does that make sense? Because if they get here with no one else there, that's a safe passage. Watch this. He starts driving. They're already rotating. They know exactly what their gap, like what their time. They don't even need to stop and scout. They know there's no one there. They know exactly when to do this. They've done it so many times before. I'm still waiting. Like we can go back and see all the military games. Liquid do the same thing based on what Senya does every time. I want to see Senya. One game where it's a melee game, it's like, run back and sit down here. Because Liquid, they'll still be driving. The only issue is for him, even if he does start shooting, they're coming in 4 vehicles, right? Sure, he might knock a guy, but they're going to jump out. He's the in-game leader as well. They're going to jump out. They're going to kill him. You trade 1 for 1. But they have just gotten the 3 other guys across, and you guys are still sitting on the other side. So is it really worth it to lose a guy for 1 point in that situation? Most likely not. So Liquid, they get across. They should know about the amount of teams that are here, because if we go back and see, you can see 1, 2, 3 teams are out of the plane going south before they even start flying north. So they should have seen, like, you know how you're in the plane, you turn it around 180, look backwards, and then you can see which direction the players are kind of jumping out to. So I think that's what they do. They realize, good, 3 teams are going down towards military. They get their rotation in, and other teams are doing the exact same thing. TSM, they're going to take their cars over, not anticipating ends to be there, I think, but they stay safe nonetheless. Face, they don't want to start driving. They know there's a Novo team. They know there are teams up here. Trifly goes, oh, I heard a boat, let's get away from here. And they send it full speed forward. Liquid then push up into Desperados, who as well were on Military Island early on. And I don't think that Liquid were anticipating them to want to push out this early, but they do, nonetheless. So this was contested, I think, a lot earlier than what Liquid thought it was going to be. Obviously, Liquid rotating this early thought they were going to have the island to themselves. Not the island, but at least the northern area. At least they would be the first ones that were not military to rotate over. But they end up getting slaughtered. They go down. Desperado get themselves 4 kills. 3, I believe, because Gamer Legion, they come and say hi as well. And now with Desperados fighting, Ents realize, well, that means that military is going to be open. Reciprocity, swimming. They didn't get their boats. Knights, they're going to start driving over. Face play the southern side. They always play this observatory area. NIP, not quite sure when to cross, but they do it anyway. They're going to start moving on over. Circle goes west, and NIP, they see the Navi team, and they immediately go out the other way. And what happens here is, I don't know. I wish I could talk to, like, I wish one of the NIP players were here, because I would like to, I don't know how to say it. I think that they think they have more room than what they do. Of course, you're not expecting people to still be on the beach, but because Reciprocity swam across, it took a little longer. But the fact that this is where they knew they fucked up. No, but they could have gone up here to scout. They could have stopped down by the compound to scout, but they just drive. And they end up getting completely slaughtered. I don't think they were anticipating anyone to still be here. You can see they go around. They want to avoid this area. That's pretty obvious, because if not, then they would just have gone up and stopped here, right? So they want to avoid this whole area. They drive past the compound, and because they're never getting shot at, they just seem to think that it's open. I just think it's too greedy in a circle that just shifted west. When we know how many, let's count it up, how many teams rotate through the west as compared to the east. There's a pretty even split if we go down the middle with how many teams on each side, right? Yes. So if you draw the line here, let's see. 1, we'll count them. 1, 2 on that side, 2 on this side, 3, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 teams on this side and 4 teams on this side crossing. And I think we've seen it happen before as well. The majority of teams are on the western, like, I don't know why it is, but so many more teams like crossing this bridge as opposed to this one. Of course, you have Milta and you have all the compounds, and it's a lot harder to get access to, where here you can pretty much drive down the way that you want to. Also, it's easier to just get off on this side, where here, no matter what, you're going to get shot at by the compound. But 9 teams go through the west one, and only 1 team go through, 4 teams go through the east one. And they just drive straight in. I would have assumed for them, if they want to go around this way anyway, to maybe stop and scout, but it's a small thing. Navi does the same. Navi does the same what? Oh, crashing forward? Yeah, they just move. I mean, they with the circles shifted, I think because they saw Desperados fighting Liquid, I don't think they were anticipating anyone to have moved underneath already. But yeah, it's correct. I mean, they're sitting on top. Could Senya have seen? No, there's no way he has eyes down here. Maybe he could have. I don't know, but then they would for sure have seen the vehicles. That's just a timing thing though, right? Because you never shoot at them. When I say you, I'm talking to Ivel. You never shoot at them. They never see you. And even more so, if they did see you up here, they'd be thinking, well, this is easy enough for us. And also, they've probably seen ratio HP split. So even if they do crash it, they're anticipating there's only won't be 1 player. And if they've seen people, like if they've seen any movement on the hilltop, they wouldn't think that entire hilltop team would push down here. At least I wouldn't. If I see a full team running around up here and a split over here, then I would not think of a 3rd team to be here, which technically it becomes because you guys push down. I think the call makes sense. I'm not sure how much info Senya can get from there, but they see everyone from this team. Like, they see all these Rachel Edge players go this way. And that makes them believe that this is open, but they don't see your rotation. I don't know. And you can see they were also running down here to try and see if they can get shots fired on towards NIP, which means that they missed the info on you. I don't know either. It's one of those really, like, you need to talk to the guy to know what the plan was. But I mean, the way Navi I don't think Navi does. It's not a stupid crash, but does YOLO crashes unless if they absolutely have to. And here they did not at all have to. So I think it's just them thinking, like, they thought it was going to be open when it wasn't. I think that's the case. There could be a billion reasons. I don't know. We'll have to talk to the Navi players in order to fully understand. DA, they're not in a hurry to go to military. Why would they? They're chilling on the other side. New circle goes somewhat center on military base, but of course, still have the northern side up for grabs. We have this nice area that nobody wants to go to. Like, this is just an open death. We have drawn it up so many times before, but this is a no-no. And Knights, they have all the room in the world. They can just chill on the east side. This becomes a bit of a cluster with DA crossing over. Crow Crowd came in late. I believe it's one of the, two of the 7 players that are rotating super late. And then FaZe get one of those circle 4 FaZe shifts. I don't know how they do this, but I want to count up. It's always, you can see how small FaZe 4 is as compared to FaZe 2, right? This is still pretty big compared to the like compared to the previous circle. Oops, the size. Phase 4 though, that's like half size. Phase 4 is where it really gets tricky, because the shifts can hard shift. So like if you're sitting, even if you're sitting in the middle, hard shifting away, it becomes pretty tricky. If you're on the other side, whoa, it becomes difficult, right? So, and phase, they've just been on the lucky sides of these hard shifts so many times during this phase. It's actually insane. This split from ends is scary, but it, well, I mean, it turns out to work out for them. But they're very limited in how much they can assist each other. But at the same time, they're, I don't know how to say it in English. Squeaky and Trifly, they're inside the hangar. And Migas and Rustenma are obviously inside the air traffic control tower to try and see all that they can from where they are. If they get knocked here, there's a very big chance they'll get pushed because of it. And that's where Squeaky and Trifly needs to really, really help out. They probably can't rotate over, but they can, I mean, try and help from this position. And I think if you're going to split this with anything, then it has to be down here anyway, because if you're standing here, then you don't have eyes this direction. You're going to be exposed to the entire plains area, where from here you can be on the inside the hangar and still, like, you can be inside the hangar and still look over. So it kind of makes sense that they split like this. It's just the distance. The distance is pretty wide, and it's difficult to split like that. Reciprocity, they try to crash in, doesn't end up working. TSM, they have a M249 and they slaughter Skoom and his teammates. Monkey and Udyr does survive though. Ratio Edge in the meantime are inside. Crow Crowd and M47 have been fighting, and I think Ends were third partying. Ratio Edge were third partying as well. In the meantime, FaZe, they're just chilling. They're just making sure that we have the entire south to ourselves. Absolutely no reason for them to crash anything. Just play it on the south side and wait. 80 goes in. They've been scouting. They know that, well, I mean, as long as we stay on the backside. I don't think they know that Squeak and Trifly are inside at, like, by the time that it crashes. But as long as they just stay on the backside, they should be alright. Now, these two come over, and that's really important for 8C, that A, he figures out there are people inside the hangar. Probably knew that by this time. And B, they take them down, because they could have been part of splitting them up. Crow Crowd is further down. Uber gets shot at. He needs to stay alive, so he's going to run back up the hill. Mixer comes over to help 8C. And they also know that even though there are two people inside, they cannot, I mean, like, they cannot go out now. They cannot just do a wraparound, because there's another team up here. And if they run this way, they'll be shot at from these guys anyway. So Circle goes away from the north side. A lot of players caught in a very little amount of space. And TSM, I guess, as well. They're going to go down, though. And Knights, they know we need to deal with this before we can focus inward. Like, they're not going to be inside the circle, and the only play they can really make is to crash this. But it's, again, one of those situations where, okay, my name is Drayton. I do not expect to be alive by the time that I get over here. So we might as well just see how many kills we can get on everything up here. Try and get as many points as we can. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a placement point as well. There's 7 alive, so that indeed they will. But that's pretty much the only play they can make. They know that they're not, I mean, unless if they get really fortunate, going to make it inside that next circle. Ends manage to crash on over. They go inside the shack. Not exactly the most optimal place to play from, but gotta do what you gotta do. Monkey somehow kills Drayton before he goes down to blue himself. Very interesting. And that leaves only 2 teams alive. We had 6 teams. We had 21 players alive when TSM go down. That leaves us with 19. And all of a sudden, Crow Crowd eliminated, Reciprocity out, Knights out. Boom, it's just 7. One circle shift just killed 12 players. Because all of this was practically, what can you say, uncrossable? Is that a word? I don't know. Now it is. And then what happens here, and I would, again, this is a situation where I wish we had I had access to watch in game, because this is so interesting. It stalls for a little while. But what you need to know is that over on this side, there's a US here. We'll draw it in green because US is our green. I cannot find green. There you go. There's a US over here. And behind that US, there's a rock. This is probably not the correct proportions or where it is, but approximately like that. There's a rock and there's that. 8C and Mexi, they're of course sitting up top trying to hold the entrance. Uber in the meantime, these guys don't know that Uber is there. They have no clue that Uber is where he is. These players have zero idea that Uber is there until he starts shooting. They are completely focused on what's going on over here, trying to help their teammates get out of the entrance, right? Now the new circle shifts. Uber still doesn't want to let go of his position or let his position be known, but he will have to shoot at some point because he has to move into the circle. They will have to move into the circle, and his teammates, like, this is when his teammates need the help, right? They need, if they can get them down, Uber can take his focus up here. Should be easy enough just to hold them. What ends up happening though is that Uber knocks one, gets damage done to Mikas as well, knocks both of them. They're now both dead. This is exactly what they wanted. Unfortunately, at the same time as he knocks Mikas, 8C goes down too, I believe, or is it Mikas? I don't, Mixi, I don't remember. So it's now a Uber against Squeaky and Trifly with Mixi trying to assist on the backside. Trifly gets over the top. Uber flushes him so he can't get any info across. Trifly gets knocked by Mexi. Great play. Now Uber needs to be there to help him. But Squeaky is proning on the wall. Like, he's proning on this fence, so Uber cannot see him. And he gets down Mexi. Now Uber has two opportunities. We'll just redraw this. I think at this point, the US is probably here. And there's a rock here. So what ends up happening now is Uber, there's a little ditch here that you can prone in. Hey Cinder, there's a little ditch that you can prone in so that the guy on the other side can't see you. So Uber goes, okay, I don't know where he is. I do have an MK14 and level 3 helmet. I think he does at this point. And the circle obviously is centered on the dot, so the dot is around here somewhere. He is now proning, because he doesn't want to reveal himself. He's now proning and looking. This US is too big. Looking at the US, the rock is over here. He's just proning and looking at the US because he knows if Squeaky is going to cross, which he has to, there's only one place on this entire side of the circle that he can be hiding. It's going to be on that US. So he's just looking at that US and waiting for Squeaky to come peeking around this way. What ends up happening though, and this is where I think the mistake happens from Uber, it's very rare to see, but I don't think Uber saw, because of the way he runs up, I don't think he ever realizes that there's a rock behind the US. So it's not the only cover available any longer. Squeaky has this rock he can hide behind. We'll draw it up a little bigger. He has a rock right here that he can hide behind. And Uber goes, wait, he was supposed to be behind the US by now. What the hell's going on? He kind of stands up, looks over this way. He goes, wait, he's crossed already? Where the hell can he be? Because he cannot see him on the US. And all of a sudden, here appears Squeaky from behind a rock and takes him down. So I think it's a situation of Uber. You can see the way that he's pathing in. I don't think he realizes the rock is there, because he's right now, when he's running in, he's so focused on helping his teammate out that he doesn't see the rock over here. And the same thing here. Like, his vision is never, obviously, at no point in the game is Uber's vision, like end game, on anything going on behind here, right? He's looking this way and he's looking that way. So he never realizes the rock here. I think that's the case, because everyone thought that was going to be a win for FaZe. But gotta give it to Squeaky as well. I mean, Squeaky plays it really well. But I never think that that Uber saw the rock, which ends up getting him killed. Feels bad. That's just how it is. You have to know every single rock, every single dip. And I don't think he will never forget that that rock was indeed there. Game number 5, last game of the day for PEL. And again, any questions? Let me know. If I go over something too fast, let me know as well. Yeah, I agree, Cinder. I think, and I have not had confirmed from Uber yet that this was the case, but I'm pretty certain. I mean, had he known there was a rock there, I don't think Uber would have played it the way that he did if he knew there was a rock. Let me put it that way. Southern Plain, most people can go where they want to. Ratio Edge, and this is again an interesting one. Ratio Edge, they have decided that whenever it's a Southern Plain, they don't want to, even though, I mean, they could easily, with this plain path, go up to Yasnaya, right? Where they normally loot. They don't want to, I mean, by the time that the plane is over Yasnaya, they're pretty much already started looting. So no reason to waste the extra time. There's been so many military games anyway that why not just stick around and see what you can get from it. So they stick around down there. It's not a military circle though, it's going north. And what are the things we can draw up when we're looking at North Plains? This looks like a pregnant snake, doesn't it? Pregnant? Or a snake that had a lot of food at least. I don't know. River, of course, is a big factor. It's not guaranteed yet, but there's a pretty big chance that this circle is indeed going to go north of the river, which means that teams want to cross early. And also, you got to keep in mind, this is something that players, they will look at every single time. Where did the plane come in from? The plane went from here over Stalber. If this is the plane path, are you guys expecting there to be anyone in South George, knowing that NIP has a second drop location in Lipovka? Most likely not. So if you're a team like Liquid, for example, who loot down here, and indeed NIP is in Lipovka, you now know that if we use our time right, get looted quickly, everything from here to here is going to be one free passage across the water. Because you have a Rozhok team, you have a N47 team that could very easily push out this way. You don't, there's no reason to go contest anything over here. You have so much room to rotate on the west side, knowing if you keep it, like if you remember, oh, by the way, guys, there was an eastern plane, haha, that means there's no one west, free rotation, which also ends up happening for the most part. You see them immediately driving up, 7 goes up as well, no stopping, no scouting, you know it's free, just go full speed forward, try and see what you can get. This one is interesting. I think it becomes a, I don't know if it's miscommunication or what ends up happening here, but N47, they crash. I call it double trouble. Some call it crossroads, whatever you want to call it. And Ultra is in his car trying to leave because obviously he's getting pulled up on. But Simsy, I mean, Tomil gets taken down. That's just unfortunate. But Simsy and Calvin, they commit to the compound. So it becomes a complete, I think it's a miscommunication situation where Ultra's like, no, let's leave. We already have Severny anyway, and we can always just go north around and play anything else. But Tomil and, I mean, the other guys from Desperados go, well, that's too late now because we're kind of already here with our vehicles going forward, so we're not going to be able to go away from there. So miscommunication, it becomes really, really tricky. Vasco comes up super late to the fight. It barely even jumps out of the vehicle and then gets a double knock, and people are like, wait, what? Where did that come from, Vasco? Pretty impressive. He shoots one inside the house, and then you know how those two-story buildings, you have like the small windows on the side where you can look up the stairs. Just immediately shoots the guy up the stairs too. I think you can go into PL. I'll show you the link. Well, I guess I can actually do that. So I can talk about clips, but I cannot show them. I have broken the system. Isn't this one here? Observing. Maybe it's not there. Aww. Oh, here. I cannot show clips, but I can link them. So he goes in and he does that. Very impressive. And Ultra is forced to leave by himself. N47 keeps 4 guys alive. I have broken the system, guys. There's no rules against linking clips, but it does require that the clip already exists, of course. So I can talk about what happened and then then you guys can watch it. So that happens. They get the compound. They have now plenty of room in the center of the circle. What is, I mean, they're obviously, as long, like with most other people, taking for granted that the circle will indeed not go south of the water. Na'Vi coming up late. TSM, they're trying to make the push on forward. Raise your edge. They're going up to the hilltop to make sure no one is here. They start crossing over. Na'Vi hears they're there, and a fight ensues. Interesting, because this is most likely, at least, not going to be a fight that's going to have a big, I mean, it's, as far as the circle goes, you wouldn't think it's gonna have a big impact, but it actually ends up doing, because as we can see, the circle is moving back down in that area. And what's funny here is if we make us, let's just how can we do this the easiest? Okay, we'll draw this up like that. Right now, there's a lot of people in the middle, right? Makes sense. That's normally what we see happen in PUBG in the early circles. If we draw a line down here, this is as much through the middle as you can expect it to be. The middle is probably more like here, but it doesn't matter. What would you rather? I'm asking you guys. What would you rather? If you are, let's say, you can go anywhere you want in this circle. You don't know where the next one is going to go yet. Don't base it on the fact that we know the next one is going west. Shut the fuck. Don't base it on the fact that you know the next circle is going west. Just what would you rather be? On the east side, going west? On the west side, going east? In this circle. I will give you 10 seconds to answer, because it's a short answer. And there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. I just want to hear what you guys think would be the smarter. East going west, easy. You want to go into the west. You want to be east. Okay, so most people want to be on the east side. They agree, obviously, with what the most people do here. And the reason for this being that if you go to the east, other than on Stalber itself, which is up here, this is so damn open. It's like this whole area is so insanely open. And you're needing a compound. I mean, sure, down south there are some areas you can play, but you don't want to play those early. You want to get one of those nice areas that you can sit tight and play from, right? Everything else is going to be pretty far out in the open. Whereas on the west side, yes, you have the compounds. They're, of course, pretty useful. You have the plane crash itself. But other than that, I mean, it's a big forest hillside area. So even if you get unlucky and you have to go in there late, you can still find something to play from. Like you can jump out the vehicles, play on foot. There's so much more cover in this area over here than there is over here. Which means that you would much rather secure an area here early and then go, oh no, we have to go. Oh, at least we can fight over here. Then go, oh no, we have to go. Well, I guess we have nothing to take over here because it's all been taken already. And if you don't get that, you're screwed. So, completely correct what you guys said. And what I think as well is that if you have a circle where this is the middle, you would much rather be going this way than you would want to go that way whenever the next circle pops. And the next circle does pop, boom. And all of a sudden, this line of teams, let's count them up just for the fun of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 teams. Game of Legion, they're chilling. 12 teams are currently not on the, I guess you can say on the eastern side of the previous circle. And that leaves up a ton of space, both in the middle and on the west, obviously. And everyone knows that the majority of the pressure is going to be coming in this way. But the thing is, and this is what we've talked about before, the thing is, if you're DA in this circle, that's where the logic goes against what, I mean, human thought goes against how you think it's going to happen. Because if you see this circle, boink, you just think, oh, well, everyone's just going to find their spot and it's going to be nice and everyone lives in harmony, right? No, that's not quite how it goes. DA, why would they? I mean, when this circle pops, they were somewhat center in the previous one. That's, of course, good. When this one pops, though, why would they play on the western side when they could just play in the middle? That doesn't make any sense. Same thing with reciprocity. Why would they want to go far over to make room for these guys if they can just play the center? You wouldn't do that. Which means that for the teams that are coming in from the side, who were center before, they're now forced to either fight, drive through, or rotate around, which ends up taking a lot of time for them to do. And you can see all of a sudden the movement just stops, and all the teams that had half a circle to play around are now forced into fighting in one less than a third of the circle, while the rest of the teams, we'll draw it in green. These 4 teams have more room than 12 teams have up here. Because teams like DA decided to stop, Reciprocity decides to stop, N47 is stopping to take the fight, and Knights are stopping to shoot out towards teams on the outside. These 4 teams are just creating, like, what do you call them? A dam? No. Those things where the boat goes through. I don't know. But they're creating roadblocks, essentially, for everyone else trying to go through. Which means that the only team that really gets around is actually ends. You can see it, how it's split up right now. Everyone is forced to stay on the eastern side. In the meantime, there's a huge hole in the middle that nobody's contesting because of these 4 teams. You see, these are the things that I would love to get to talk about during the broadcast. But obviously I don't have the overview of what happens before after the game. That's why we need to all tag PEL and say, we want Weatherman segment in PEL. Because that could be nice. And now that the new circle pops, what was before the center, everyone is now on the eastern side. Oops. Coming in. And the situation only gets worse because now you're reaching a point at which you can barely even use vehicles for rotations anymore because you're caught in the middle, right? There's trees everywhere. It's just too dangerous to rotate with cars. Everyone is trying to crash up further forward, and now we're reaching the point where it's kind of hard to do the analysis from this view because there's so many players alive. We still have 51 people up in this circle, and it just becomes a forest fighting circle. I mean, that's pretty much what it is from here. It's limited what you can analyze. Yes, NIP go over, they get a good angle. I don't think teams was... this was a situation where Liquid could have had a much better game than what they end up doing, but they get... this is phase 4. Phase 4 just popped. Or circle 4, I guess you can say. This is circle 4 popping. They come over to third party. DA, they stay like they always do. Had a perfect third party opportunity, but don't want to risk it for the biscuit. So they stay there. Reciprocity, they're staying on the southern side. There's no reason for them to pull up. Now they leave. This is again a situation where DA, and I'm no coach for that team, so I'm not gonna say they did something bad because it probably fits what they want to do. And I don't think there's a right or wrong in PUBG as far as strategies goes, because, I mean, that's just how it is. But DA have a perfect, in my opinion, third-party opportunity once they hear NIP start knocking players here. They know, okay, this compound, look at where the circle is. This compound is going to be out next circle, right? They know it's going to be out. And they know that Reciprocity just parked their cars on the backside, so they're not going to be able to play from here, unless if they want to take the fight to them. So they have to go this way at some point anyway. So why do you wait until they're done fighting, resetting, now getting inside the circle, and waiting for you? Like now they're just eyeing this way because they know this compound is getting lifted out. Had they been up here, this is where they start shooting. Boom. This is when they, oops, sorry. This is when they start shooting pretty much before the next circle pops. Now the circle is up. They're running forward. Now they get knocks. They're all shooting. They're all shooting. Could DA have been here at that time? Nom nom nom. 3 kills for DA. But because they, I don't know if it's because they play scared or they just say we have a compound, let's not leave before we have to. But it allows for NIP to completely reset, get inside the circle, and hold their angle. Which means that, well, as anticipated, DA ends up getting killed. So, an unfortunate situation where I think DA, if they just dared more, it's pretty much what I like to say, and this is why I remember Frost, he said during the broadcast that Korea plays aggressive, which I 120% disagree with, because they don't. But this is a situation where, like I say a lot about the Korean teams, if they just dared more, then that would have been, like, that could have been a really good game for DA, because they would have been able to clear the entire side and potentially turned around and taken the fight to reciprocity. Doesn't happen though, they end up going down, unfortunately. And if we move further forward, James is chilling in the middle, everyone is pushing up the hill. Again, this is just fighting in the open. It's limited what I can really analyze from this, other than Wanted has a good position here. He plays on the wing to get more vision down the hill. But the game pretty much just unfolds in small skirmishes. Everyone starts fighting, Knights end up winning the game. It's very limited what I can talk about without the terrain view when it comes to this match. But that was it for the last game of PEL Week 2. I hope you enjoyed it if you're watching on YouTube.